You know how normally, oh, now I see it.
There
Okay,
it is.
good. Thank you. Sorry, just wanted to be sure.
Okay, so let me see. Hey, so let's talk a little bit about today's meeting. We're going to,
Don't we need to take roll first?
yeah, okay, fine. If we must.
Okay,
Well,
sorry.
oh, you can talk first. if
It's
you
a new
want.
year. We're all confused.
I just, anyway.
He's
go ahead.
moving on. I like it. Okay, I'm ready if you would like me to do that.
Okay, we'll do.
It's a house fire.
Go for it.
Ron's assistants are helping.
Okay, Rock,
Here.
Armando. Not at the moment. John Barbera,
Here.
Mary,
Present.
Adrianita, pardon me. Ron,
Here.
in Mass, John DeMeglio,
Here.
Dan,
Here.
Cynthia, not yet. Gwen,
Present.
so Cynthia is here as an attendee.
I moved her over.
Okay. Cynthia,
There's a candy up there.
Where's my medicine?
I'll
okay,
get it.
Cynthia, Gwen,
Okay.
Thank you.
Gwen,
I already said present.
sorry, with all the chaos, I didn't hear you. Lori,
Here.
Jan,
Here.
Melanie,
Here.
Kelly,
Oops.
not yet. Alec,
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, Kelly's
Kelly?
here. Kelly's
Yay.
here.
Cynthia, are you hearing, are we in, can we hear you yet?
Whoa.
Well, I see that she's here.
Okay.
Alec,
Here.
Ray,
Here.
Chris.
I do not see Chris here yet.
Okay, so no Chris, no Armando at the moment. If you
Correct.
see them come in, let me know, everybody.
Okay, will do.
Okay, real important, again, starting and ending on time. First of all, let me wish you all a happy new year. I know it's a little belated, but thank you for being here, and we'll all keep our fingers crossed that this year will move along a whole lot better and nicer than we might have experienced in 2020. So with that said, I'd like to just say that we're going to try to keep our comments, board members and public speakers, to 2 minutes. For the board, when we're going around to any agenda items, we'll have anybody and everyone who wants to make a comment have an opportunity to make their comment. And if their time allows, then we'll go around a second time. So let's go ahead and I think all the other stuff that's on the agenda, please be aware of the various items under board and committee considerations. Cheryl, can you move it up a little bit? Okay, oops, almost. Cheryl?
I moved it up. What more do you want? You want it down to public comment? Are you finished?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, great. So we're going to move on to agenda item number 3, public comment on non-agenda items. The public is invited to speak on issues of general interest during the public comment period. Comments during this specific agenda item will be heard only. Public comment shall be limited to 2 minutes per speaker unless modified by chair, and it's not modified. The chair may establish a maximum length of time for all public speakers as needed. The public is requested to dial *9 if you're on the telephone, or raise your hand if on the computer. Then when prompted by the presiding officers to address the board on non-agenda items before the board can take action. Remember, we will not make comments on anything that's being said on public comment, but we may have a committee get in touch or look into it. So do we have any public comment?
We have
Yes.
2 hands up, Ray. First, we have Celia Gonzalez.
Okay, let's let Celia speak.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
We can hear you.
Thank you. Okay, I had a moment last year because I'm out here in Coastal. I'm across the street from the Point Fermin Market, and it's the main thoroughfare where all the emergency equipment comes and goes. And they were out here a lot this year. And so on a whim, I went and got a giant fruit basket from Edible Arrangements, and I looked up who came out here. And I learned that from one of the accidents we had that we have the heavy department from, I think it's Station 48 out in Harbor City. They come out here to help our first responders who come from Grand Avenue. I didn't know that. I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that. And so I took baskets to them and to 16th Street and Grand Avenue, and they were overwhelmed. They were all so happy, grateful, and I thanked them. I ran it past somebody in Coastal. I said, look, what do you think? And they go, yeah, we'll see what they like. And anyway, I guess no one ever thinks of that, but occasionally, if it occurs to you maybe once or twice a year to make an allotment in your budget, should you have it, to provide something, because they have 3 different shifts of people and there's not that many of them. So I just told the people that run the Edible Arrangements, because it's a healthy thing. They're all very healthy because the job is so taxing. So no matter how much I want to give them junk food, I thought fruit would be good, and they were delighted. The big splurge was the chocolate covered strawberries. But I just wanted to suggest that if you ever occurred to you to make a gift to these people who come out all hours of the day in all weather, who rescue so many all across town, because sometimes you can hear the sirens from Central. And I'm down around town and I hear them going off from the one on Gaffey Street, closest to the Northwest area. And I thought, gee, I wonder how many people ever really thank them, because I've been brought in a few times with them because of my asthma and from work injuries. So it's just a thought to put out there for you and your people to consider a
Thank
small
you,
thank you
Celia.
gift and a card.
Your 2 minutes are up, but thank you so
My
much.
2 minutes are up. Thank you.
Yes. Ray, next we have Glenn Acosta, and I told you about the email that he sent today. So I didn't know if you wanted to give him 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to do, I'd like to maybe bring him under public officials. I'm going to expand it a little bit, because if there's any questions or anything, then we can do that. So Glenn, if you don't mind, under agenda item number 4, we'll bring you in under representatives.
Okay.
You could share your information. Okay.
Sounds
Thank you.
good.
Okay. Great.
I don't see any other hands, and Cheryl, a couple minutes ago, Chris arrived.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so the only one that we're missing at this point is Armando.
Okay.
And Ray, I just wanted to mention that everybody's training is up to date. Everybody is eligible to vote today.
Great, that's good to know. I think we're among the very few that actually, as neighborhood councils, that actually were at that 100% level. So congratulations to Northwest San Pedro.
Yeah, the coastal president's on the line, so be nice.
No. I'm excluding everyone in the harbor community.
Okay, that's better.
Did anyone else notice that the start time of the meeting was 9 p.m. on the agenda? I was so confused.
9 p.m.
Yeah, here, watch, look.
Okay, Cheryl, just let it go, okay?
Well,
Let's move on.
Okay. So we're on agenda item number 4. Do we have any elected or governmental representatives on board today?
There's a couple names I don't recognize that might be. Can you, oh, Axel's here.
Axel
Okay.
Palacio is there.
Okay, go ahead, Axel.
Yes, hello, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Gotcha.
Excellent.
Thank you for showing up, Maxim.
Absolutely. No, thank you all for making the time to have me on today. So for those of you that I haven't had the chance to meet just yet, my name is Axel Palacios and I'm Councilman Buscaino's Planning and Economic Development Deputy. And so I've been with the office for some time, and I know some of the folks in San Pedro. I think I've dealt a little bit more with Central, or when there's some kind of development or some kind of planning issue in the district. That's when I tend to meet folks. So it's good to come here with a different kind of project, one that's been part of the community and an issue in the community for a very long time. And that is the Channel Street Skate Park. So as you all know, and you're all aware because it's in your district, the skate park was built by the San Pedro Skate Park Association some time ago. I'll just call it on a permit-less basis. And the park has obviously become world renowned and is a very, very famous skate park. And we ran into some issues when there was some construction being done by Caltrans. They were not aware that the park existed until they went in to do some work on the pillars and had to have the park closed because it wasn't up to code and it wasn't a permitted use. So that was when our office got involved, which at this point I think is about 4 years ago, to try to bring the skate park up to code and find a way to reopen it for the skaters in the community. So I took over this role a little over 2 years ago. Beforehand, I was a field deputy in Watts and Harbor City and Harbor Gateway. And so as I came to start working on this project, we've made a lot of progress. It sometimes seems like it moves very slowly at the glacial pace that the city sometimes moves, but we've been making progress over the last couple of years. And so since that time, we've had the project entitled by planning. So it's entitled as a skate park. It's allowed to be used as a skate park. The next thing we've done is we've gone through the Department of Building and Safety and gotten our construction permits for the site. So we have all the work that's going to be done there approved, which is really just some railings, some striping in the parking lot, and some concrete work that the guys need to fix inside the bowl that's been damaged since it's been closed. So the issue that we ran into in the past couple of months that slowed us down, aside from COVID, is that the skate park was a part of Port of LA property, right? And so when it's Port of LA property, the port has let us know that it has to be a maritime use in order for them to keep it in their portfolio of properties. Obviously, a skate park is not a maritime use. So what we've been working on the last few months is to have the jurisdiction of the park changed from POLA over to the Department of General Services. So GSD, that's the acronym for the General Services Department, is going to be the one that oversees the skate park, and we've pulled in Recreation and Parks to oversee the construction and repairs that need to be done for the park. So where are we now? We recently introduced a motion to go to the ITGS committee. And I think I've shared with a few board members the council file, so you guys can keep track of it as well. But basically, it's going to be going to committee so that that General Services Department can accept it as part of their portfolio, and then the guys will be allowed to go in and do their thing and update the construction and fix whatever needs to be fixed. And then we're going to be working out a lease agreement with them and the city so that they are able to reopen the skate park, hopefully once the pandemic is over and we get to deliver it back to the community as promised all that time ago. So that we're anticipating maybe 3 to 4 more months until we can get them set to do their construction work, and then depending on when the pandemic ends to reopen the site. But I did want to make sure I came virtually to you and presented where we've been with the project and how much closer we are than when we first started, and also to answer any questions that folks may have regarding the skate park.
Okay, Axel, thank you very much for that. I have a question or two, if I could maybe start it off. And it's one about the, and it's something that I'm sure you've already discussed, especially with John Barbera, who's been very good about picking up on this issue. The graffiti that's on all the walls and all the pillars and things like that, I'm wondering if there is a plan to, at some point, maybe trying to get rid of it and keeping it in a place where they will, when they tag it, it'll be removed in a timely manner. And my second part of that question is the aspect of the litter that seems to be that was there in piles, and then it was very nicely cleaned up. But my fear is that it might start picking up. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that, Axel?
Of course, yes. So, yes, correct. The site has become a bit of a blight issue when you have less eyes on it and not an active area. So that's one of the reasons we've been so supportive of the skate park, because when you have areas that are not being maintained or kept an eye on, then you attract blight. So to answer your question about graffiti and litter, the skate park association, Andy has been awesome about going in and doing cleanups with, basically with his volunteers from the skate park association, sometimes with some help from the city crews. And then the graffiti, I know gets reported every now and again to Caltrans when it's on the pillars, which is their property. And then when it's inside the park, we have to get permission from the port and from Port PD to be allowed in, and then do some of the cleaning up on that end. So that's one of the reasons we're really trying to rush through and get this reopened, so that once it changes hands, we're able to have GSD manage some of the cleanup and take care of, maintain, basically give the skate park association the right to maintain the site the way it needs to be. But in the meantime, anything that comes up of that sort, you can always report to me. I stay in pretty close contact with Andy, and we try to arrange cleanups and graffiti painting out as often as possible.
Okay. I see another hand up, and that is Gwen. Gwen, you have.
Hi. Hi, Axel. This is actually, thank you for the report on the skate park. I had a question actually about the Gaffey Street Gateway Park, the development of that potential dog park. Is there any further developments on that? We've been waiting patiently.
So I'm not 100%. I don't know if I believe Jacob Hake was on the agenda for today from our office, right? So he's the manager. He manages that project for our office. So I'm not really in the loop on that one as much.
Yeah, that's Axel's here just for the skate park, Gwen.
Okay, specifically that.
Ryan Ferguson, I don't see him here, but he was invited, so he normally would give us an update. So you might want to reach out to Ryan.
Yeah, this is actually one of my special projects. So I tend to do skate parks. I've done a few in other parts of our district, but for the most part, it's planning and economic development. So this one is more of a strictly like a special project.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ray, you don't have any more board member hands, but you have 2 attendees. The first one is Celia.
Celia?
Okay, those pillars or any open surface are always a target for graffiti and whatnot. Have you considered, or would you consider, and I'm putting this out there because there's a lot of great artistic people in any kind of activity, considered murals for those pillars, which would be executed by any of the skate crew that are part of that particular band of merry folks. And you know what? They could do fundraisers and whatnot and keep them maintained, and they would cease to be a target, and they'd be able to self-implement all the repair and restoration work to them, because once it's opened, they'll be there. And the trash abatement and all that stuff, because I volunteer occasionally with the San Pedro cleanup crew, San Pedro CPR, and they do cleanups, and they'll go, if you contact them on their social media page, they're happy to go anywhere they're needed and clean up things for free. They just ask for donations of trash bags. I'm sure you all heard of them if you haven't used them. But murals go a long way in abating graffiti, because the pillars will stop being a target. So it's just a thought, but thank you for letting me speak. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.
Next we have Diana.
Oh, do I address the question or?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries.
My
No
bad.
worries. No worries. I just wanted to make sure I responded to Celia. So yes, I think great minds think alike. So that's something that Andy and his group have brought up. And so yes, we fully intend to work with them and a number of local artists to create artwork on those pillars. But we just want to make sure we have full site control ready for them to go before we do that. So yes, excellent idea. That's the direction they're heading in.
Yes, because if there's a way to do fundraisers for, the paint, the supplies, and as well as if they put lighting up there, so they would have evening hours, everything, of course, will be regulated. It's a very conscientious crew. They come in I see them shopping locally and I've spoken with them, and it's a great crew. I think it would be in great hands once it gets going, but until then it's just a target for, people with nothing better to do. But thank you so much for listening. I'm glad to hear that all the positive outcome they're looking forward, and thank you for letting me speak. I appreciate it.
Diana, you're up.
There you go. You should be allowed to talk now, Diana. Diana, you need to unmute.
There we go.
There. Okay, good.
Yeah, I just wanted to answer, to let Gwen know with regard to her question, that Jacob will be coming to the Joint Planning Committee meeting Wednesday night to be talking about what the plans are for that area.
That's the agenda.
Yeah.
For the whole area, including the other Canyon Park.
Yeah, there's some, I believe so.
Okay, great.
So that's Wednesday night.
Thank you.
Ray, Dan Dixon has his hand up.
Dan? Unmute yourself.
I just want to thank Axel for his report. This is nothing but good news. It's very nice that it is moving along at a rather lively pace. And I know you've worked hard on it. Our John Barbera has been watching it as well. Thank you, Axel, very much. And to the council office as well.
Happy to help.
There are no more hands up.
Okay. Axel, thank you so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate you being here and talking about the skate park. And to you and all your colleagues out there on CD15, Happy New Year.
Likewise, thank you guys so much. And anytime you need anything at all, I'm a call or an email away. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Take care. Any other elected representatives?
We have Octaviano Rios.
Oh, all right.
Where is he? Hold on, Octaviano. Octaviano, did you want me to move you as a panelist so we can see you? Where'd he go?
Octaviano.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right, folks. This month is no different with my audio issues. So I even dressed up for you all. I put on a tie and everything, but I'm having trouble with my audio. So I'm not gonna move it, if that's okay.
That's okay.
So I'm trying to, let's see, hold on a second, folks. I'm having my technical issues here still. Okay, on business. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Happy New Year. I'm Octaviano Rios with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. I hope everybody's doing well, as best as you can, considering the interesting issues that occurred last week that I will not get into, but I hope you all do. I know that this board and many neighborhood councils across the city of Los Angeles are preparing to weigh in on the incidents and sharing their perspective and their recommendations to City Hall. And as you are aware, City Hall in turn has relationships, governmental relation teams that work with county, state, and federal government entities, including the elected offices. So keep that in mind when you're communicating with City Hall and your city council person, that your voice does matter, and it does echo, and it should during these very important times, not just locally, but nationally, right, and internationally. So I do want to extend my condolences, Mr. Chair, to you and to your family. I know we've talked a few times already, but I did want to extend on behalf of our family to you and your family a warm and deep, heartfelt, sincere condolences. I was prepared to not see you here tonight. You're a great trooper. Thank you for being here and starting the year off with us as a community. As you know, I am a Harbor area resident myself, so thank you for being a rock in the community and for your strength and engagement with us. Again, my condolences to you.
Thank you, Axel. We appreciate that.
Thank you. Less importantly, but still, I want to go into my report for the sake of the board and to have a good start filled with information. I want to start off as I've always started off, is the elections for this year now, 2021, for our neighborhood councils. I do want to remind everybody that election day is June 15th, and the candidate filing period is around the corner. It's February 13th, so that is fast approaching. So if you're interested as a current sitting board member or as a stakeholder or committee member, if you're interested in running for an open seat, keep that date in mind, February 13th. As well as for the stakeholders that just want to vote. That's also an important aspect of our engagement here with neighborhood councils. April 16th to June 8th is the time period where you can request a vote by mail application or a ballot through a vote by mail application. So you fill out the application, you get a ballot in the mail that you fill out, postage paid by the city, put it in the box and mail it out to the city clerk's office. So we hope that we have a very robust participation this year in 2021. And again, your elections June 15th, and then the new board will get seated on July 1st. Now we do have a few sessions for candidates if you're interested in getting more information about what neighborhood councils are all about, or if you just want a refresher as a current board member. The next neighborhood council candidate information session is January 16th, which is Saturday, from 9 to 11 in the morning. So if you haven't attended one yet, this is the next one that I recommend that you attend in the weekend. And we do hold them during the week. I just don't have the next date available for the next one during the week. For our financial officers, I know that we only have a few months left, and I know this particular board is very good at keeping their certifications up and running. But if you want a refresher, or for whatever reason, yours is about to expire, you want to reset it, the next funding training for financial officers is Tuesday. I believe it's a Tuesday, January 12th at 2 p.m. So that's January 12th at 2 p.m. And that's hosted by the City Clerk's NC Funding Program staff. Let's see here. As you're aware, your bylaws have been changed. I've been working very closely with some of the board members, especially Diana Nave, who's your bylaws committee chair. So thank you for her hard work on that and everybody else's input. If you do have any questions about those changes, let us know. Thank you for catching some of those discrepancies and errors. I appreciate the committee doing that. I did look that over with staff and sent you a clean copy. So hopefully you got that already. And of course, if you see anything else that needs to be corrected, let us know. Or if you want more information, feel free to add us to the agenda. I know some neighborhood councils are very passionate about their bylaws and want a lot of detail about how this developed. So hopefully we've given you enough information along the way that we've addressed all those concerns and answered all those questions. We do want to remind folks on the board that the city does have a special account to tap into for you to use funding for interpreters, which means that you don't have to tap into your own NC funding to hire an interpreter for any given neighborhood council meeting, whether it's committee or full board. It came out last week at our staff meeting that we have low participation with this special account, which means that there's still money left in it for our neighborhood councils to use this special funding to hire an interpreter. So the only thing you really have to do is email ncsupport@lacity.org, carbon copy me, and send us all the details of when you want the interpreter, the date, the time, etc. If you have any other questions about that, let me know. And last but not least, we also want to remind our board members that the city, or our department specifically, did pay for training and has accounts open for information and education course, to be precise, on Robert's Rules of Order. So if you haven't taken advantage of that account, please do so. There's a lot of videos, some of them pre-recorded from some of you participating, our general manager also participating, and just a wealth of information from a company, a private consultant that provided that service, and we paid for it. So it's free for you, neighborhood councils, and for you to, if you need it, improve your Robert's Rules of Order and parliamentarian skills. Folks, that's it. That concludes my report. If I missed anything, or if there's any new information in the pipeline, I will email you all, like I usually try to do post meetings. So again, thank you. If you want to reach out to me, feel free to email me at octaviano.rios@lacity.org, or give me a call at 213-978-1462.
Thank you, Octaviano. I wanted to let you know that our new bylaws are already posted on our website.
Yay, thank you.
And we're working now on getting election information onto our website. Our ad for San Pedro today will be coming out at the end of the month, and our February meeting presentation will be instructions on how candidates can file, how stakeholders can get ballots, and everything on the whole process. And articles have been sent. Our newsletter will come out also at the end of the month. So we're doing all our outreach on the election information. Ray, did
Thank you. And you,
yes.
Oh, I forgot to mention something now that you shared all that information, as if I didn't give you enough information for elections preparation. But just today, our Anne Marie, our public information officer and social media specialist, wanted us to remind board members that you do have a free Canva account for neighborhood councils with free templates that we've developed over the years. So if you don't remember your login and password information, I can send it over to you, Lori, or to Ray. And then you can share it to your respective board members that want to engage with that particular application.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ray, did you have any questions for Octaviano?
No questions. Octaviano, appreciate you being here. It looks like we do have one hand up right now on the panelist side.
Great.
Gwen, you have a question?
Hi, Octaviano.
Hello.
Happy New Year. So I don't know if you have any sway with Joe or with Eric Garcetti, but could you possibly persuade them to create some promotional videos for our elections? I think that kind of visibility would be greatly appreciated.
We already have them, Gwen.
Oh, yay.
Yes, Dunn has already sent us this information. So there is a great video. So I just haven't had a chance to post everything yet.
And I just wanted to take the opportunity of encouraging everybody on this this board meeting that's attending to reach out to your fellow neighbors who might be interested in participating, whether it's in a committee or within the board, and definitely get involved and look for the election material. Please participate.
Thank you, Gwen.
Thank you, Gwen.
I see no other hands up. Caviano, thank you so much again for being here. Happy New Year to you and your family and to all your colleagues at Dunn. Appreciate all the
Thank you.
work you do.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so
Ray, I don't recognize all the names and attendees. So if there's an attendee who's a public official wanting to speak, could you raise your virtual hand for us? I see no hands raised.
see no hands. Okay.
What about Glenn Acosta?
Yeah, I'm gonna put him at kind of like item D so that he can have his time, but I want to get rid of not literally, but budget reps and
Thanks.
and budget advocate reports that might be. Melanie, Lori, anything for on budget rep?
Not at this time.
Okay, great. And nothing, budget advocate? Anything?
We have not been appointed one again for this region, so.
Okay. Okay, then item D, so to speak, would be for Glenn. Glenn, would you be so kind as to fill us in on your very important information?
Do you want me to
hello.
do you want me to move you to panelist so we can see you, Glenn?
It's up to you.
Okay, I have done so. Okay, you should be able to speak now.
I think you actually took him off. I saw his.
No, I did not. He's under panelist. Glenn, you just need to unmute.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, thank you. I'm here to talk about the Clearwater project. I'll give you an update. As many of you know, we're building a new tunnel to take our clean treated water from our plant in Carson out to the ocean. We're using a modern tunnel boring machine to build the tunnel. And in preparation for the tunneling, we are creating 3 underground concrete blocks along the tunnel alignment. And the idea is when the tunnel boring machine gets to that location, it bores into the concrete block about halfway, it stops. And it basically, we have a safe, dry environment for the workers to inspect the front of the machine and make any repairs to the cutting head. And so we've completed 2 of the concrete blocks, and we're working on the 3rd one, which is located on Gaffey, as you know. And so we've tried to limit our construction footprint on Gaffey by leaving 1 lane in each direction free for traffic. However, our contractor has told us that he's encountered a water line where it's not supposed to be. And so what we need to do is to move the injection points for the concrete grouting to the 2nd lane going north. And so we approached the city of Los Angeles about trying to get this work done as quickly as possible so that we can get the work done and return Gaffey to the 4 lanes. And so they've given us approval to close Gaffey from Anaheim to Westmont Drive. It's kind of an area of Gaffey that's not really well traveled, it's mostly industrial, so that we can complete that work. And it's only on Saturdays and Sundays for about 5 weeks. And once we're done with that, we'll complete the work and return everything to the 4 lanes. And so that's basically what we have planned. We got the approval from the city of Los Angeles, but they wanted us to vet this change with you, your council. And that's why I'm here tonight.
Okay. I think, we have a pretty decent attendance from the community. I'm wondering, Glenn, by any chance, do you have any kind of material that we might be able to post on our website that would make, talk about what weekend dates this will happen? And
yeah, if you want, so to explain it further, I can share my screen. and show you the location. And I got a couple of slides if you want.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Okay, if someone allows me to.
Ray, you need to allow him to share screen.
Okay, let me share my screen. Oops, it's still disabled.
Yeah, hang on a second. Okay. Okay, I am having a problem here. It's not letting me let you share the screen.
Make him a
let
co-host.
me make you a co-host.
Right, that's what you need to do.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay,
Okay.
Glenn, you should be able to do that.
Okay, so let me.
Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. 1 second while I get this.
And while you're doing that, Glenn, how will that affect the businesses that are north of Home Depot?
So we're going to have. So first, let me show you.
Sure.
The location. So let me just briefly do this. So this is the location on Gaffey that I'm talking about, is where the softball fields are, the shooting range for LAPD. And so the location for creating this underground concrete block is over here. If you look at what it looks like today, we have the drill rig in the middle, and it injects the concrete grout into the ground. And so we've tried to limit our footprint and allow 1 lane in each direction open. But the water line we found on this side, so we need to move the injection point to this location. So what we're proposing is to close Gaffey from Anaheim to Westmont Drive, just north of the Home Depot. So you'll still be able to get into Home Depot, and there's going to be some flagmen to allow local access. So if you need to get into the softball fields, or if you own a business in that area, then you're still able to get in there.
Okay, that's very clear.
Okay. Any other questions?
If you could send me any of these pictures for outreach so we can post this so people and then explain it.
Okay, I can certainly do that.
Lori, I have a question.
We're going in, I'm sorry, Chris has his hand up.
Okay.
Hi, just to clarify, are you drilling primarily through bedrock, and how deep is the main shaft?
So the tunnel is going to be 7 miles long. The first half of the alignment is what we call soft soil. The second half, which is when you get under the PV Peninsula, is going to be bedrock. And so at this location, we're injecting, somewhere around 60 feet below the surface. And so we're creating this huge concrete block so that when the tunnel boring machine gets there in the future, it bores in part way, it stops, and now we have a clean environment for the workers to do maintenance on the front of the TBM. And so the idea is to get this work done as quickly as possible. Right now, we have the work scheduled to be done in March, but if we get it done sooner, we will be out of there and we'll have the 4 lanes back in service.
Any other questions, panelists?
Let's see, Gwen.
Hi, Glenn.
Hello.
So if you could do a little bit of clarification, in injecting the concrete, I would assume that you need a a hollowed out area. Are you excavating and then injecting, or what is the process? How large is this block? And can you please once again say what this is for? You said for inspection. If you could give us a.
Okay, let me share my screen again, and hopefully, let's see, share. Or can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So let me bring this up. Can you see it now?
I don't think we're seeing your presentation.
See a
Okay.
Hewitt Basil.
Okay, hold on. Let me close that. Okay, hold on. Let me unshare. Okay, let me see. There it is. Share that. Can you see that now?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so the idea is to create this large concrete block underground so that in the future, when the tunnel boring machine gets there, it stops and you have a safe environment to work on the front of the cutting head. And so the way that that's done is we inject with a drill rig concrete under high pressure, and it injects outward, and the soil gets removed and it gets filled in with this concrete mix. And so you're creating basically a column of concrete throughout the soil. And then, so you get the grout injected, you create one column of concrete, and then you move over the drill rig and you create a second column, and then you make enough columns where you have a large enough area for the tunnel boring machine to safely get in there and stop and do the work. And so,
Glenn, if I could just jump in for a second.
Yes.
You already did an amazing presentation to us a couple of months ago, and your presentation is actually posted on our website. We didn't bring you up so that we could dig into these questions because we have another presentation tonight. It was more just to talk about the fact that you're now going to need to close more lanes of Gaffey Street. So I think Ray wants us to kind of limit how much time we go into this. Like I said, the presentation is available on our website. The issue here was just, we need to know the dates that you're going to close for the weekend and with those weekends. And if you could send it to me, I can make sure it's posted throughout San Pedro, not just in our area, so people don't get stuck and have to turn around.
Okay, we can do that. We can do that.
Great, thank you. It looks like we have an attendee that has a hand up. Looks like Celia.
Yeah, can you make it quick, please?
Yes, I wrote down my question. Please, are you going to be notifying the Central San Pedro and Coastal San Pedro neighborhood councils about this closure also
Yes.
on the roadway?
I will be doing that. I will be posting it to all the neighborhood councils and also to some of the general pages in San Pedro, because like I just said, it doesn't just affect us.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
There we go.
And I'm always available to answer questions. Just email me or call me, and I can also make a separate presentation for you guys because I know your agenda is pretty packed.
Thank you so much, Glenn, for coming on short notice.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, Glenn.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Okay, Cheryl.
Yes.
Agenda.
What's up? Oh, wait a minute. It's giving me some notice. Hold on. It got yellow instead of green. Your screen sharing is paused. Well, just start again then. No, why? I've never gotten that message before. Now?
No.
No, we're seeing your computer. We're not seeing the agenda.
Your emails.
Yeah.
Or documents.
That. My fault. Okay, hold on. PDF. There we go. Too many things to open.
There you go.
Thanks.
Okay, so I think we're through with public officials. So we're gonna move on to first responders. I think I saw
Dan Brown's on the line.
Dan Brown. So Dan, you're on.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Yes, I'm Dan Brown. Happy New Year to everybody. I will keep my presentation just as short as I can. Unfortunately, as you guys know, 2020 was a very challenging year for law enforcement, and 2021 is shaping up to be no less challenging, I feel, unfortunately. We did not finish the end of last year on a positive note. In fact, December 2020 as compared to December of 2019, I had no categories of Part 1 crime that decreased. Everyone that had a change was an increase, and some.
Dan Brown.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I don't know what happened there.
I don't know who might have their microphone active, but
No, nobody does.
someone bled through.
I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me okay right now?
Yeah,
Yes.
good.
Okay. Sorry about that, whatever that was. But what I was saying though is that at the end of the year, we had kind of a surge of crime. The Part 1 crime went up about 25% in December as compared to the December before that. Robberies were up 33%, aggravated assaults up about the same. Burglaries and stolen cars up 40 and 50%. So just super challenging. Looking at the overall numbers for all of San Pedro in 2020 compared to 2019, and we had one more homicide. It's kind of a mixed bag. We had some crime go down. Robberies were down, and aggravated assaults were down 17 and 13%. But we had a huge increase in reported rapes. Those were up 58%. And as I mentioned, we had one additional homicide. So the most serious crimes were up, and then some of the other serious crimes were down. But we had a huge increase in stolen cars, 24% increase. So just tough. Really, the only Part 1 crime that went down significantly was personal theft. We saw that number drop about 28%. So that was kind of the one real bright spot. Because that's one of the more common crimes, so those theft-related crimes, the overall Part 1 crime, as it gets reported by our department, actually shows a drop of about 4%, 2020 compared to 2019. But that being said, as I mentioned, with homicides and rapes and car thefts up, it definitely was a challenging year for us. So that's about all I have. Just trying to kind of wrap up last year. I don't have any of the stats for January yet, obviously, but I'm hoping that things will kind of turn around and we'll get a little bit better of a year this year than last year. But so far, not really a great start. And that's about it. I'll just open myself up, I guess, to questions as time permits.
Yeah, Dan, a quick question. Staffing changes, what might those look like here in the Harbor community?
Yeah, that's yet to be determined. I actually did get an email about staffing changes, but as far as how that affects Harbor, I just don't know. That hasn't really been worked out yet. I mean, the bottom line is we are losing officers. There's still talks about layoffs. I think I mentioned this in my last meeting. There's all kinds of specialized units that are going to be basically shut down. But as far as like your general patrol officer, who are the officers, the men and women that you guys feel the most, so to speak, those are the ones you see most likely. Those will be largely unchanged, if not possibly even slightly increased, just because there'll be so many more officers moved out to those positions. When I say that specialized units are closing, those officers aren't being laid off, at least not yet. I know they are talking about the possibility that there is going to be layoffs, but there haven't been any yet. and it's not a definite thing. So when these units get closed, these officers get sent out to the geographic divisions like Harbor area, Southeast, 77th. But that being said, I can't really tell you guys that you're going to see an increase in Harbor now that I think about it, because although we saw some challenges with violent crime and homicides, I can tell you it was much, much worse in South Los Angeles. So just in my experience with this department, if we get more officers put back on patrol, there's probably a greater likelihood that those resources will go to, like the South Central area of Los Angeles, just to kind of stem the huge surge in violence that they've seen, which is just so much more than what we've had here in Harbor.
Thank you, Dan. It looks like we have 3 people from the council that would like to ask questions, and I'm going to take them down in order that I see them here. And that looks like Melanie, then Alexander, and then Gwen. Melanie, your question?
Yeah. Dan, can you confirm whether or not, or if it's still up in the air, that according to what I was told, it looks like our jail is not going to be operational again, and you guys are going to have to use 77th Street again for any arrests?
Yeah, I mean, I have heard those rumors too, and it's just, to me, it's just a rumor still too.
Okay.
But just in my experience, I have a hard time seeing how the department will justify keeping this jail open, because, as you know, there's a big budget crisis, so to speak, and the police department does take up a huge portion of the city of Los Angeles's budget. And it's not just police officers, it's the jail detention officers, it's all the civilian support staff, it's the mechanics that keep our thousands of cars going. I mean, we're spending money all over the place, and the jail is a pretty significant cost as well.
I
And with
thought was that they didn't ever hire the jailers that they needed and all that, and with the cuts, they probably won't now.
Yeah, I don't know if they hired a whole lot more. I know that they were taking police officers for many years and having them do the job of detention officer, and then that stopped. So I believe that they did sort of kind of start catching up with detention officer roles being filled. But this is a big city, so people are always retiring. And I think that's one of the ways they're using to save money right now, is they're just not filling the jobs after people retire, which is, I think, most likely the strategy they will use to address the whole issue with the police department budget. And instead of going to layoffs, they just won't hire to attrition, if you know what I mean. As officers retire every month, they just won't fill out new academy classes. But as far as the jail goes, I could see that there's definitely some truth to that rumor, at least the possibility of it happening, because I don't see how they could really justify keeping this jail open, just because of the cost and the fact that right now the vast majority of arrests that are made don't result in a person staying in custody until they're arraigned at court. They're just cited out and released. So you could do that, more or less without the jail, because we're just letting them out anyway. So
Next is Alexander.
Oh yeah, hi Dan. I'm just curious if you have any theories as to why crime would just be higher this year or anything else like that.
Oh yeah, I get asked that every once in a while, and it would really just be entirely conjecture. I don't know. I think there's so many variables to crime, and that's why you have sociology students and professors that study, that kind of stuff, criminology students and stuff. I really couldn't give you an answer that wouldn't be just completely opinion. So I'll decline to answer that. I don't know.
Okay, that's safe. Okay, next we have Gwen.
Hi, Dan. I want to applaud you guys for everything that you have been doing out as far as outreach to the community during the holidays. I'm disappointed that with COVID and the rest of the situation, you guys don't have the LA Cadet program going. That's a wonderful outreach. It's a wonderful program. I'm wondering if there's any communication, whether these budget changes are going to impact that component of all the things you guys do. And again, it's been really nice to see how you've been helping the community, and being part of, trying to make the holidays brighter for different people.
Yes, that's a legitimate concern. I can see how that would definitely be something to worry about. But I can say that in my experience, it seems that the city of Los Angeles is deeply committed to community policing. And as a matter of fact, right now, technically speaking, our cadet program is not shut down. That being said, it's not the same cadet program we had, in 2019. But we do still have officers that are assigned to, as YSOs, they're called, youth service officers, and they still do remain in contact with the cadet families. They do periodic Zoom meetings like we're doing now, just to try to keep the relationship going, in hopes that as soon as they are able to meet in person again, that we can still draw these same kids back into our program and give them that outlet that they can kind of invest themselves and their time into, as an alternative to some of the negative influences that are out there. So yeah, we do still have the cadet program going in a sense, and there's the hope that 2021 with the vaccine and with hopefully soon to be dropping numbers of COVID cases, that we can really get that going like it was before.
Thanks, Dan. Next we have Rock.
Yeah, just real quick, Dan, thank you very much for your service and your report. And I did want to let everybody know at the last Chamber Economic Development Committee, we did learn that the jail probably would not be operational. So FYI.
Not surprised. Yeah, thank you for that.
Ray, we don't have any other, John Barbera has his hand up. I spoke too soon.
Dan, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, John. Doing good, thanks.
Hey, on a lighter note, maybe make this a little cheerful. How did the toy drive go for Christmas?
It went well. I was going to touch on that when Gwen was talking about what we do. A lot of our stakeholders in the community don't know about our Helping Badge program, but we're definitely committed to keeping that going. This year we couldn't do it in person, but we were able to deliver toys and groceries to hundreds of harbor area families. And that was only made possible by the partnership with the community. Maybe you guys had seen our toy collection barrels and didn't even know that it was from Harbor Division, but we had set up toy collection barrels at like Walmart and Target and a lot of the other big stores, Starbucks, several places. And we were also taking donations that people were bringing, and monetary donations so that we could go buy other toys and gift cards for some of like the older kids that don't really have toys but are part of the family. So this year we made it work, with social distancing. It was difficult. We had to kind of come up with a new plan, but we did a delivery style and brought food and toys and hopefully a little bit of holiday cheer to a bunch of needy families that live right here in the harbor area. So thank you all for the support.
Thank you. Ray, I don't see any other hands up.
Yeah. So Dan, thank you so much for coming out tonight and being with us. Happy New Year to you and to all your family and your colleagues. We really appreciate what you all do for our community and the partnership. So Happy New Year.
Thank you so much, Ray, and thank you all, and good night. Just take care.
All right, take care.
Okay, CPAB, Melanie, any report?
They were dark.
They were dark. Okay, we're gonna move on to presentations. West Harbor Development, Ellen and Lauren Johnson.
We have them both on the line, and I just promoted them to panelists, and I think you might need to make them a co-host so they can share their screen with their presentation.
Right. Okay.
Lauren and Alan, you both should be able to unmute now, and he's
Hang on a
making it
second.
available for you to share.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. I just need to.
Okay.
Oops, my camera's all dirty.
Hello, all. Lauren, you are now a co-host. And look, Alan, you are now a co-host.
Just making sure everyone can see that.
Wonderful.
Yes, we
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, well, why don't we get started? Hello, thank you for the opportunity to give you guys a project update and present our new brand. My name is Alan Johnson, and my daughter Lauren and I will be presenting what we are now calling West Harbor, formerly known as San Pedro Public Market. We are with Jericho Development, a fourth generation outfit that has been working in and working on downtown San Pedro for the last 36 years. I like basically I'll start with the name change. There was a couple reasons we did it. The first was we originally had planned a 12,000 square foot public market space at the center of the project. Something akin to the Grand Central Market in downtown Los Angeles. And when we started this project 9 years ago, that was kind of a new up and coming trendy thing. Well, it's sort of played out. They've sort of popped up everywhere. And I think COVID was really the final nail in the coffin that suggested small places, small crowded indoor spaces just wasn't a good idea in today's environment. However, we will have a small format food and beverage operations in our project, in our container kitchen area, which we'll cover later in the project. But the real main reason we changed the name, it was something that we were sort of forced to do or chose to do by actions. We had a threatened lawsuit from a current tenant on the property. And so we kind of made the decision, rather than fight the lawsuits and spend time and money on court and lawyers, we would just move on. And frankly, we liked our old name. We were very happy with it. But rather than spend our time and resources we decided to change it. But we're happy with the new name. We're happy with new images. We hope that West Harbor is embraced as a great new addition to the community, really further enhancing San Pedro's growing presence in Los Angeles, and it's a great place to work, live, and play. And with that, I will turn it over to Lauren, who will walk you through the new brand.
Thank you, and I hope everyone can hear me okay. Thanks for having us to talk about the refreshed brand identity for the project. So, you've kind of heard the why, but we really wanted to give you some background on how we got here and how the new brand and name fit into our vision for the project. So as we step back and examine what we were trying to create here, we realized that we were building something that was bigger than, as my dad mentioned, a public market. So we're trying to position the project as the Southern California destination on the vibrant LA waterfront, and create a truly reimagined experience that we call West Harbor. The name West Harbor gives our site the feel of a distinct new neighborhood in San Pedro, where you might hear it and say, West Harbor, what's that? And that is intentional, and it creates a sense of FOMO, or the fear of missing out, and makes you think, hey, I need to go there. I need to check out what West Harbor is. In addition, the name West Harbor places the development in Los Angeles, on the coast, and in the harbor. West Harbor also distinguishes from Long Beach, which occupies the east side of the harbor. The community of San Pedro and its historic and unique sense of place is absolutely inseparable from West Harbor. It informs every aspect of the project, and we're confident that one cannot talk about West Harbor without also talking about San Pedro. The new brand, West Harbor brand, is based in part on the international signal flags. West Harbor draws on the rich maritime heritage of San Pedro, including industrial shipbuilding, fishing, and international trade. The graphic language of the flags is a building block for a brand that's flexible, colorful, and powerfully creates a sense of place on the waterfront. While the logo is quite simply a translation of the letters W and H from the signal flag system, we give ourselves some liberty to use the flags in a more playful and symbolic way throughout our brand and our visuals. For the color palette, which you might have trouble seeing, maybe my face is over it on the right side of your screen, we think it's really dynamic. It's a slight modification of the primaries of the signal flags with the addition of a bright, punchy orange. The colors are reminiscent of the California coast, the ocean, and the sunset. They're bright and fresh, yet feel classic and resonate with the surrounding working port environment. Oops, let me move me back over. The sort of expansiveness of the brand allows it to have flexible naming architecture that speaks to the experiences on site. So West Harbor is a district for shopping, playing, eating, and entertainment and waterside activities. So we can use the language of the flags to really orient people to the different experiences on site, including the theater, the landing, which will be part of the waterside activities, a market, and the walk, which is the promenade. So these are quick examples of how the brand can be applied in the built environment, from wayfinding, going to various scales like in your pocket on your phone and social media, to a piece of collateral you might take home with you. The brand is also pulled through to the built environment as we move forward with master planning and design. We think it looks fresh and alluring while serving as a backdrop to a truly unique visitor experience. West Harbor is a public gathering place on the LA waterfront featuring international food, curated shopping, and top entertainment. As part of our rebrand, we also spent a lot of time thinking about how to bring the project to life once we're open. And so, part of that was a big marketing plan to talk about, things like community engagement, events, where West Harbor to us is an exciting reinvention of public port and historic locations, which creates a place like no other in Los Angeles. So the history of San Pedro, the culture in San Pedro, that's going to be a huge part of our brand. Is such a big word, but it really is. It comes down to how we program it and the kinds of events we have and the kinds of tenants we bring. So I'm going to kick it back over to my dad for a design and construction update.
Thank you, Lauren. So I want you to, everyone to know we've been making productive use of our time here in lockdown. We have been really doing some planning for a post-COVID world, trying to figure out how that affects a project like that, or like ours, the economy in general. All the while, we've continued to work on getting all our construction approvals, finalizing building permits, executing construction contracts, negotiated our project labor agreement, finalizing environmental review, and as it says here, we will be ready to start construction in early 2021, and the hard start date will be dependent on leasing and financing, which have been kind of thrown in a cocked hat here post-pandemic. One of the things we've really been blessed with is a lot of outdoor space. We have 42 acres, and we are reimagining and rethinking that to maximize that outdoor space, the ability for people to spread out and really give customers a feeling of comfort to be on our side as opposed to, just tighter spaces throughout Los Angeles. We've also taken this time to work on subsequent design. Subsequent design phases, excuse me. So this is phase 1A. We have 1B and 1C under design. So we'll be ready to move quickly when the economy and the capital markets are ready. You'll see renderings of this later in our project. One of the things I talked earlier about is losing the public market part of the project, but we will be having this container kitchen, which we're envisioning repurposed container kitchen, small pop-ups, small format, changing a lot with a large stage and dance floor. And the idea is we would program that 7 nights a week. So there'll always be something going on down there. You know, it'll be a place for the community and visitors to gather, to eat, drink, listen to music and dance. It'll be sort of somewhere, if you can't think of anything else to do, well, you can go down and listen to music and eat. So that's our container kitchen. Next, we're showing you the master plan. We've included this because it's probably been a while since folks have seen it. As you can see, it still shows the Iowa there. That's something we hope to include in our project. And for those of you lucky enough to participated and seen the Altasea's Blue Hour in front of the Iowa, or seen the videos, and I strongly suggest you do look at Google them. I'm sure they're out there. It was just stunning and spectacular, and it really shows the entertainment value of not only the Iowa as the historical vessel it is, but as a backdrop for a really spectacular visual effect. I think it would be a big draw for locals and visitors alike. The next slide.
I think you're a little delayed. Yeah.
So this shows subsequent phases. 1A is in the foreground, and then 1B and C heading north towards downtown and the Maritime Museum. One of the things that's got a lot of interest is that tower in the center. We've been approached by a couple different folks who are proposing basically a rotating bar, observation tower, something like the old observation tower at Port Sakal many, many moons ago, but hopefully one that's more structurally stable. And it still needs environmental review, but it's something that is resonated with lots of folks, and I think would be a nice attraction, and we continue to work on it. So with that, I will hand it over to Lauren for some more site specifics.
Yeah, so one of the things we've obviously spent a lot of time thinking about during COVID is a massive amount of outdoor and public spaces that we have on site with our, again, massive 42-acre site. We have a ton of opportunity to bring in unique outdoor experiences such as pop-up wave pools, skate parks, and also year-round activities such as playgrounds, dog parks, public art, and recreation spaces. So the goal is really to create something for everybody at West Harbor, and that it really becomes a community resource and place for people to gather outside and with their dogs and with your kids and whoever else. So again, if you compare our site to other developments in LA, we really blow them away in terms of how much outdoor space we have. So from a leasing perspective, our site really is incredibly compelling for those businesses that are looking to grow or establish themselves in the Los Angeles market, particularly post-COVID. So we're sharing this with you guys just to kind of show how unique and special this site is. And really, we're seeing tenants that are coming in and they really see how special the site is. And aside from just the size, which I've said a bunch, if it's equally, if not more of a draw, is that we have a waterside site. So with the help of Danny Salas from Harbor Breeze Cruises, the project will have a ton of waterside amenities that we think will be a huge draw to folks from all over the region and make West Harbor a can't miss, and San Pedro, by extension, a can't miss stop for visitors that come to LA. So, and now we'll talk a little bit about leasing updates, starting with Nederlander.
This is the proposed Nederlander Amphitheater, which is in environmental review as we speak. It's being proposed as a 6,200 seat amphitheater, about the same size as the Greek theater that the Nederlander company ran for 40 years. We're close to putting that deal together, obviously based on the environmental review, which I think is really says a lot about Nederlander, and I think it says a lot about the site itself for a company to take on this new big project after their business was just completely shut down. You know, from one day you've got all these deposits out, dates set, contracts let, and then boom. It does speak to Nederlander, which is a 3-generation family business. In fact, they survived the last pandemic. It also, our partners, the Rakovich Company, also a multi-generational family business. And so it really is three folks getting together, 3 businesses getting together, taking the long view, and witness the fact that this is our 9th year of working on this project. So this, something like this is not for the faint of heart. And the leasing update, we've, there we go. We put a press release out a month or so ago where we announced Gladstones and Albrights. Very excited to have them. One of the ones that I personally am quite excited about is Mama Toronto. For those that are familiar with Robert Bell and his Chez Melange restaurant, which closed just recently after 37 years at the top of the area, South Bay specialty restaurant world. He has a dedicated customer base that will really follow him anywhere. His ability, Robert Bell specifically, his ability to bring people, local people, to San Pedro will be a boon for all restaurants. I've been doing business in downtown San Pedro for, as I said, 36 years. And it was never hard to, everyone saw what San Pedro had when you got them down here. It was just hard getting them down. And so we're really looking to Robert Bell to really widen just people coming down and seeing all the great things that San Pedro offers. All of this bodes well for a 7-day-a-week business. You know, I think we're very confident that we'll be busy on the weekends, but it's that midweek business that's really going to make us a success. And this, our mix of tenants and the other entertainment venues and folks we've been talking to, you know, more reasons to come down, more than just eating, is really an important draw for us. That is basically our presentation. The next slide has our website, and look for future updates on that. Thank you for the opportunity to present, and ready for some questions.
Ray, I don't have a virtual hand.
Okay, so Lori, you'll be up first from the panelist side.
Okay.
Lori, then Brock, and then Chris, and then I'll move over to and John and Maglio, and then we'll move over to the attendees for their questions. So Lori, go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, thank you, Lauren and Alan. Great presentation. I'm excited about this. I've heard flack in the, you know, you're going to get flack from everybody. You are so resilient to have even stuck with this. So my hat is off to you. You know, during COVID, it's hard to imagine anything right now that would be fun. So the idea that post-COVID, this would be maybe up and running and started, for me, gives us a little bit of hope. It's exciting. There's all kinds of opinions as far as architecture, whatever. You've put everything but the kitchen sink in here. So I hope it all comes to fruition and that San Pedro has your back. My only comment in question sort of is, I hope that all efforts will be made to include as many San Pedro people as far as local restaurants having opportunities to be there. We've got great restaurateurs, businesses, people who used to be at Ports of Call. If any breaks can be given to some of them on leases after what they've been through, that would be awesome. And one thing about Ports of Call that was nice is that parking was free. And so I know that's probably an insane question, but is there any way that for this, that parking can be free so people can come down? Alan's already shaking his head, no. Okay.
No.
Yeah. Well, then can I own the parking lot and have it be my business? So, and I
you know,
also,
we have not.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you know, all those very specific things aren't, I mean, certainly won't be free in the busiest times. It probably won't be paid in the morning. We really don't know exactly what it's going to do just yet. But I will say, it's fair to say that the days of free parking down there are over.
Well, maybe you could make something that, you know, if you can show you're a resident of San Pedro, you get a break on your parking, some advantage for people here. I mean, think outside the box of what you can do for people in the town. And I just want to say, with the West Harbor name, I've heard a lot of people complaining. I think it's fine. I don't even care at this point what you call it. Just get it built. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I agree. Thank you.
Okay, I see Rock, Chris, then John DeMeglio. Rock?
Yeah, I echo Lori's comments. Alan and Lauren, every time I see this, I like it even better. I was just describing this project to somebody out of state. And a lot of times when I describe where San Pedro is, I say we're across the harbor from Long Beach, and people sort of get that instead of being on the peninsula or whatever. So when it was explained to me that West Harbor is the Western Harbor, it actually makes perfect sense to me. And then people go, well, where's West Harbor? It's in San Pedro. So that to me sort of advertises itself anyway. So congratulations on getting tenants signed up. To be doing that during COVID is amazing. And I look forward to a seat at the Sky Bar.
Very good. And to echo both your comments, it is really heartening, and I think it says a lot about the town. It says a lot about the location that we have a lot of interest at a time when restaurants are just closing right and left. Big established, long established restaurants. So, you know, we've got our fingers crossed, and we're really excited about the folks we're talking to.
Me too.
Chris, you're up.
Thanks. I'd like to echo all the other positive sentiments. So, you know, it's one of those things that's been such a big mid-air question mark for so long. It's nice to have something kind of solid to look forward to. I was wondering about the Nederlander company and Amphitheater. I'm assuming as a lessee, they have the naming rights. Is it going to be like definitely called Nederlander Amphitheater?
We're actually partners on this. We're basically partnering with Nederlander to put this together. I think what we'll end up doing is, I think we'd hope to find a named sponsor is kind of what we're looking for. Don't really know what that might be. That's kind of down the road. They're going through environmental review right now, so it's still up in the air. But we continue to push ahead full steam.
Thank you.
Okay. But for those familiar with when Nederlander ran the Greek theater, it was sort of like the A-list of talent. It was, every top name that comes to Los Angeles was at the Greek. And so I think it was, we can hope to see the similar kind of lineups that they had there.
Thank you, Alan. John DeMeglio, you're up. Unmute yourself.
Hi. I've been following this since it started, and we lost a lot of good restaurants that were here that people in San Pedro went to. Now it sounds like we're losing the fish market, also going to a different area for some reason. I don't get why, but for me, it just doesn't look appealing to anything. And I'm going to be really frank about it, because I go and spend my money down at the Pike, Pine Street, Seal Beach, 2nd Street, and even Main Street and Huntington Beach. And these buildings are like we had back in the day, where we had these little warehouses. And the whole thing doesn't seem appealing to where it's going to attract people. But that's my opinion. Thank you.
Any comment, Alan?
Not a one.
Okay. Melanie, you're up.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen the presentation for for this. I haven't seen it at the other neighborhood councils or when you did it at the chamber. So I'm impressed by it. And I think at this point, for our community and for San Pedro, like Lori said, I'm excited to just see something happening and it getting built. We need this. And, you know, keep in mind the restaurants that left out of there, San Pedro and the shops, to try and incorporate them, to offer them places in there. The other thing Lori said about the parking, I lived some time in Cape May, New Jersey, which is a tourist town. And so like what they did for a lot of their tourist attractions and tourist areas, they would give like a sticker to the people that actually provided residency, that actually had a home or had a physical address in the area, and put a sticker on. And so they would pay a reduced price for parking. And I think that would be kind of a give back to the community of San Pedro. You know,
Yeah.
I'll be happy to propose that.
already.
Okay,
Thank you for your
Thanks.
so let's move over to the attendees. I have 3 hands. First up is Gregory, and then Victor Christensen, and then Celia Gonzalez. Gregory, you're up.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the presentation again, Alan. I just had a couple of questions about the Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Just had a couple of questions about the amphitheater, one of which I think you answered, but there was an article that ran about 3 weeks ago in the Daily Breeze. It sort of touched on West Harbor, but in that article, it mentioned that the seating capacity for the amphitheater was only going to be 2,200 seats, which seemed at odds with all the presentations we've seen so far. So just wanted to get confirmation that you're still at 6,200 seats. And then my other question was just referring to the fact that you're an environmental review for the amphitheater. Do you know where members of the public can get copies of your coastal development permit application and whatever environmental applications you've made so far?
It's all public, and the port has it all. So the port is the place to go to get all the pertinent documents.
And the number discrepancy between the Breeze and presentation, Alan?
It's the Breeze. I hope Donna's not on the call, but you know, they get things wrong every so often. No, it's been 62. It was never 22. The original EIR called for a 500 seat amphitheater. But when then Nederlander approached us with this proposal, we were excited about it. So we thought, we'll take it. We'll take a flyer with you. And so that it's in front of, or I'm not sure exactly where it is in the environmental review process, but the port does.
Okay, great. Victor Christensen, you're up.
Hi. I'm going to have to echo some of what John said. You know, San Pedro is a unique place. The way that Ports de Call was set up as a fishing village was unique. This isn't unique. The buildings look like big cookie cutter tents or warehouses, like John said. And it does not appeal to me whatsoever. I hope it does well, but the looks of it just, you know, don't make it look good.
Thank you, Victor. Any comment? No?
No.
Okay. Celia, you're up.
Thank you. I was wondering about, well, the sound carrying across town from where it's at, because the boat can't break all of it up, and the town is a hillside. And also if there's going to be arrangements for transportation, is there going to be, that you know of, a return of the red car and any other sort of carriage services to help transport that many people to and from that little piece of land at the end of the Fisherman's Slip, please?
Yeah, there are proposals in front of the port now about a tram system that would link all from everywhere from the bridge, you know, to Cabrillo Beach. So that's been in the works for a while, and you know, things got slowed down with that, with COVID and the port. The public access investment program, PAIP, whatever that one was. So yeah, that is also in the works, and that's part of the environmental review too.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
And there's also, okay, sure.
No, I'm sorry. Please continue. I apologize.
I say part of it, and I think anyone that was around, like when the Beach Boys were at Fleet Week.
Yes.
There's new speaker technology called line array speakers, which is very directional for sound. It's also pointing away and out. It faces south, you know, away from the community. It's also, I think we were really heartened by the fact that the operator Nederlander had operated the Greek theater for all those years and had very good relationships with its neighbors, that they were very aware of it and we took it very seriously. They're not a fly-by-night, as I said, third generation family business. So they take their business seriously. And as far as access and parking, those are the things that got really excited about San Pedro and the site, that it's so much better than the Greek was. So many more ways in and out, so much more parking than there was there. It's, you know, from a concert operator's perspective, it's got a lot going for it. And on the water, how do you beat that?
Yes, it's definitely a beautiful, heavenly area, even if you live around here and have been here for all the seasons and all the temperatures. Thank you so much for answering my question. Thank you so much for a very nice review of how this is going along. I appreciate it very much. Thank you, everybody else who's asked some great questions, for all the other questions I didn't have to ask because he answered them. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you for the questions. Alan, Lauren, thank you so much for your time. Great information. Really appreciate the work that you're putting into this. So looking forward to the next round of updates. So
Yes.
Take care and Happy New Year to you.
Ray, one quick question. Will we have a copy of this presentation that we could post on our website? Is it available?
Yes. Lauren will speak to that. She's the tech person.
She's the tech person. Okay.
Yes, I can send it over.
Okay. So if you could send it, Lauren, I think you have my email.
I should have your email.
Okay. And even if you could just send it directly to our board, I get those emails too. So that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, I will dig and I will find it. And
If I don't get it from you, I'll track you down.
I know if Diana is still on here. I know she
is.
Diana has it.
Okay, Diana has it. Okay, she's raising her hand.
Raising her hand. Yeah. Thank you, Diana. But let me know if you need anything else from me. And again, thank you so much for letting us present. And we look forward to coming back when we have more updates, which we have a lot of exciting leasing activity in the works. So once we can announce all that, we'd love to come back and give another update.
Before you leave, let's see what Diana has.
Just to tell you, Lori, it's already on our website.
Oh, well, what do I know?
It's on the planning page under West Harbor.
Okay, well, I want to put it on more prominently.
Well, please do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Take care.
Bye now.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
So now we'll move on to next agenda item, consent calendar. We have one item on there, and that's the approval of the December 2020 stakeholder meeting minutes. Hearing no request to take it out of.
No.
I heard someone say something. What?
That's Diana. I muted her. It's okay.
Okay.
Sarah.
We need a motion.
I'll move.
And who was that?
Cynthia.
Cynthia. Okay. Second.
Mary was second.
Who was that?
Did I see Jan hand go up?
Yeah,
Yep.
Jan seconded.
Okay, Jan. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. Cheryl?
Brock,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Vera, sorry. Mary,
Yes.
Adrian,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
John Leo,
No.
Dan,
Yes.
sorry, Cynthia,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yep.
Kelly,
Yes.
Alec,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, we'll move on to the next agenda item. This is the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners report. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend the meetings due to a death in the family, and so I beg your forgiveness, and I promise to attend the next one. So we'll move on from there. Hank, Harbor Alliance and Neighborhood Councils, I was unable to attend. Lori attended in my stead. Lori, would you like to say anything about it?
I don't know. Doug is on the line. He was there too. We brainstormed about a lot of things, about the issues of our concerns with the budget and what the Hank will be working on moving forward, some of our concerns with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Raquel Beltran has asked to come to attend our February Hank meeting. So I would like people to think about what questions they might have that we would want to ask the general manager. But no, I think, Ray, we just need to talk about what Hank's going to be doing moving forward so we can get more participation. It's sort of been dwindling during the pandemic.
Okay. And I would imagine we'll have that conversation on off to the side in the future. Is that a yes?
Yes, I'm sorry. I nodded.
Oh, yeah. And the recording got it too, by the way. Okay. Thank you, Lori, for attending. I appreciate it. Doug was there. Doug, I don't know if you would have any comment. I'd like to give you an opportunity if you're still there.
Here, there you go, Doug. You can talk. Doug, are you able to unmute? And I see you, your name.
Am I there?
You're there. You're here.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, I hadn't planned on talking, so I had to grab the microphone. Hank, no. I really,
no comment?
Lori pretty much covered it all.
Okay.
We did, in responding to Raquel's invitation, there were two specific things. One was the department's plans for the coming year, and the other was job descriptions for NEAs and other department staff, which have been in the works apparently for a couple of years.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I had.
Ray, we did discuss, and that's something we still need to, our concerns still that we do not feel the decision on the minute taker is a final decision, and still feel that she overstepped, that the minute taker works for our neighborhood council, not for the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. So I imagine that when she comes to our February meeting, we will ask her those questions again.
Okay. All righty. We will move on now to committee reports and the appropriate motions. We'll start off with the executive committee. One of the things that we talked about in our meeting last week was the importance of a couple of things. When there are motions, letters, any type of correspondence or information going to a particular city department or elected official, that there is definitely, an ask. If there's going to be an ask to it, we need the appropriate committee, whoever is designated, the appropriate committee to follow up and make sure that they're getting what they're asking for. Also, we want to make sure that there is follow-up if there is sometimes. Is that your hand moving, Lori?
What?
I thought I saw your hand moving. Never mind. But just making sure that there is follow-up on everything, so that there is a statement within the narrative that is, that there is an ask, if there's an expectation, that it's clearly stated, and that follow-up is actually conducted by the appropriate or the committee that is making the request. So that is really important to keep in mind moving forward. Let's see, starting in January, we suggest all committee chairs include neighborhood council elections as an agenda item to remind people who are attending your meetings to consider participating in or joining the neighborhood council. That would be by way of running for an office, or maybe participating in attending the meetings and or joining a committee. So we would like to ask that all committee chairs include that as an agenda item on all their meetings moving forward, so that we can have good representation and participation looking into 2021. Okay, let's move on to the next committee. That would be Youth and Outreach. Lori?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I just want to say that I have a fantastic outreach team. Everybody shows up, everybody participates, and I'm really grateful for the group that we have. If anybody happened to check the website today, they would have noticed that our new website went live today, thanks to Christina Smith, who is on the line. So hopefully I'm not going to bring it up on the screen. We've gone through it before, but you'll take the time to go through it and get comfortable with navigating with the new site. If you have any questions, you can just let me know. It looks great. And there is now a search feature on the website. So if you want to research something at the Port, Ponte Vista, 7-Eleven, you type that into the search and it will pull up everywhere where there is a report or an agenda item that has that item. Will make life a lot easier. Second of all, I just wanted to share that our team talked about the fact that Pathways to Employment is going to have another year of not being able to do anything. So we know our high school students are struggling right now, as all students are. And so we talked about working with the Boys and Girls Club to create at least the workshops that we normally have at the event, and create webinar meeting events for those workshops, and make them so that we can record them. And then if students aren't available to attend on the day that we show them, they'll be able to watch it at their leisure, and take the topics that we've always presented, like interviewing skills and networking, and add a new component to it. And that's the component, the virtual, showing people, interviewing. If you have to interview right now for a job, for school, or whatever, you don't get to walk up and shake their hand anymore. So what are the new protocols? What are the tips to give you the edge on the interview? And so with all the topics, interviewing, internships. So we're at the beginning stages of talking to the Boys and Girls Club of being able to do something like that in the spring, and it won't cost us a darn cent. And that's pretty much what I'm going to cover. Everything else is in our outreach report. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Budget and Finance Committee, Melanie, you're up.
Melanie, can I just say very quickly, all I can find on the web, there's ER, all I can find is the budget on the website.
It's not attached?
No, ma'am.
Because it was attached.
It's all there, Cheryl. I'll go to it right now.
Yeah, if you tell me on the screen because I do
It was
not see it.
stitched together.
I thought so too, but you can see I've got the budget and it's only, oh, no, sorry. When I looked at it, never mind. Jiminy Christmas.
Go have another glass of wine, Cheryl.
Have another glass. No more wine.
Not even.
Okay, so first up is the MER. And this is out of committee. And so we started with 34,912, and then we spent 84,900, outstanding 700, and then commitments. This is for the San Pedro Today ad, and this is for the Perry mailing for our newsletter for the postage and bulk mailing. So our net available is 22,393.18. This is out of committee. So any discussion? None. So from there, take a vote. Go down the list. Where did my list go? So Rock,
Yes.
absent. John Barbera,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Adrianita,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
John DeMeglio,
No.
Dan Dixon,
Yes.
Cynthia,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Melanie, yes, Kelly,
Yes.
and Ray,
Yes.
and Chris.
Yes.
And Alec.
Alex,
Not
Manageable.
eligible.
okay, and next is the budget. Have you scrolled, Cheryl? To the budget. There we go. And the budget, scroll down. See, we've got, okay, so we have the virtual office where we have a balance there of that. We spent 1971.17. Christina's going to be billing us for the website because she's completed it. So that'll come out of there. But we've got unallocated funds. So right now left $2,776.29 in outreach. Then go down, we spent 700 in elections. And then we have the total of 22,393.18 left there. So this is out of committee. Any discussion? Okay, no discussion. Call for the vote. Rock,
Yes.
Armando is absent. John Barbera,
Yes.
Mary Chan,
Yes.
Okay.
Adrianita,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
John DeMeglio,
No.
So,
Dan Dixon,
Yes.
Cynthia,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Lori,
of course, yes.
Jan Kane,
Yes.
Melanie, yes, Kelly Miller,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
and Chris.
Yes.
Okay, the next item is a motion to move up here, go up to the top, Cheryl, for the budget at the top. We had allocated $2,900 for audio services. And since we are not going to be using audio at all this year, we're going to be in Zoom the rest of this fiscal year. The motion was made to move 2,900 out of the audio column and move it to the unallocated outreach fund. This is out of committee. Any discussion? No discussion, so call for the vote. Rock,
Yes.
John Barbera,
Yes.
Mary Chan,
Yes.
Adrianita,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
John DeMeglio,
No.
Dan Dixon,
Yes.
Cynthia,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Lori,
Of course, yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly
Yes.
and Ray,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
and that is it.
All right. Okay, bylaws and election committee, Braun or Diana, or both. Anyone?
Well, I can say a couple of things, not much. Mostly, I think that Octaviano covered everything we would have to say. I think the one thing that's really important to point out, other than the filing dates, is the fact that the idea of having an election day on June 15th, I think is misleading, because the election actually starts much earlier than that. That's the last day to vote, that anyone can vote. It's not an election day like we've had in the past, because it's all vote by mail. What you can do on that day is you could take your ballot and drop it in the drop box at Peck Park if you haven't already voted. So I think that's all. I understand in February, we're going to spend more time on the election, so we'll cover everything else then.
Thank you, Diana. That's a really important point to make. I meant to say something when Octaviano mentioned it. It's an election period. That is just the last day. So I don't think we should even call it election day.
No, I think it's misleading.
It is. Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next item, planning and land use. Diana?
Yep. Good evening. We have 4 community impact statements for consideration tonight. These were the 4 that were continued from the last meeting. The first one is a community impact statement in support of the draft ordinance that would prohibit private detention centers. And I don't know if you have it there to put up, Cheryl?
Yes, Cheryl does.
Okay.
Just give me a minute. I'm looking for it.
Well, I'm going to keep talking. This CIS is in support of a draft ordinance that would prohibit private detention centers in Los Angeles. And this would align Los Angeles zoning with the state law. So this really impacts the zoning in Los Angeles to align it with the state law. The ordinance is focused on facilities for housing undocumented minors and private prisons. Those are the 2 things it's really dealing with. It specifically does not apply to any facility that's under the jurisdiction of the juvenile court or the departments of corrections. It doesn't apply to any licensed residential care facility. It would specifically prohibit holding undocumented minors in hotels and other private unlicensed facilities, except when being quarantined for public health purposes. And our statement is very brief. It just talks about the fact that, detention centers are really there to help people, and the private ones tend to be geared towards profit rather than as much towards helping people. And so we think that it should be continue to be just the public ones and the ones that are licensed. That's it.
Diana, I have one question. This council file is from 2019. Why was it not voted on or has it been voted on?
What happens is a two-part process. You may have heard me talk about this before. Part 1 is an idea, and then council says, go draft an ordinance. So that's what happened in 2019. And then the ordinance came back and was reviewed, and now that's the ordinance that's going to be adopted. So this is part 2.
Okay, but we still refer to the CIS would be on that council file number.
Yes, correct. Okay. We have council files that are still active from 2012.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have one anyway. You can take
Diana, I have a question.
Yes.
I heard you mention, I think I heard you use the term undocumented
minors.
Minors.
Yes.
I don't see that in the actual language here, but it seems to me that it's more of a statement regarding for-profit detention centers.
It's not in the actual language here, but it is in the ordinance.
It is in the ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay. Would it,
But it says community detention facility for unaccompanied minors is what it calls it in the ordinance.
okay. Okay, all right, thank you.
I mean, we have the ordinance if you need us to show it on the screen.
No, I just want to make sure that there's a clear understanding of what exactly we're looking at, but so.
Yeah,
I hear
it's
what
in
you're
our
saying.
supporting documents. We did have the fact sheet on it.
Okay, great, thank you.
So whenever you want to take the vote, Ray.
Okay, this came out of committee, right?
Right. The vote
Uh,
committee was 6-3 to support it.
We're not having any
Okay,
discussion.
any discussion?
Yeah, yes,
I see a hand.
that's me.
Gwen?
I just wanted to mention that the teachers union, the Los Angeles Teachers Union, has recently come to the position that they are concerned about policing, even on the LAUSD campuses. They have asked for the funding for police on the campuses to be turned into counseling and a lot of beneficial services. The reason is, and I'll just say this, 25% of the policing and the arrests that have been made on campuses have been grade school children. We're talking elementary school and middle school. And the impact has been one of starting a negative record for children at a very early age. And so this is part of a concerted effort to change things, starting with a very early age.
Okay. Now, I have to ask the question, is there some kind of nexus here with this and private detention centers?
I believe that there is a concerted effort by all parties to support the idea that, I mean, the physical and emotional traumas occur in all sorts of levels, and it's a negative process for a child to eventually end up in detention through, you know, various environmental, you know, things that have been happening to them that are
Okay.
outside their control.
Okay, thank you for the information. Any other comments?
Melanie has her hand up.
Who was that?
Melanie.
Oh, okay. Melanie, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, to understand this right, I think part of this too is to keep private people trying to make money off of this. You know, to have like private homes trying to turn their homes into rehab for juveniles. They've already got one that's occurring right now down in Central San Pedro on 8th Street that's become a problem. It's a private home that's been turned into a refuge for like juvenile detention type place that the kids are just running amok in the neighborhood. And so they've been a lot of problems for the neighbors. So I think this is more to keep private homes from turning themselves into like this type of facility. If I
I
understand.
can't raise my hand, so I have a
Okay.
question.
Okay,
Cynthia,
yeah.
we showed you at last meeting. Do you remember? You go down to the bottom of your
I
screen.
did. It's not there, and go to participants, and it's not there when I go to the list.
Okay, well, we know Cynthia, you're next, but I want to give Diana an opportunity to respond if you.
No, I think Melanie's making the point that goes right along with this.
Okay, very good. Cynthia?
A lot of people are saying it's profit businesses, and they're assuming it's a home, but it doesn't say anything about homes in there, and I don't know if it's in the original bill. So a lot of it's conjecture, and I don't.
It prohibits private unlicensed facilities in any zone in the city of Los Angeles. So that includes single-family homes.
Okay, so they're unlicensed, you're saying, to do that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm seeing no other hand, no indication for questions. So we just had discussion. Cheryl, would you like to take the vote?
Certainly. Rock,
Yes.
John Barbera,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Adrianita,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
John DeMeglio,
I'm going to abstain.
Dan,
Yes.
Cynthia,
Abstain.
Gwen,
Yes.
lost my place. Sorry. Lori,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Alec,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Diana, next.
And the next one is another CIS. This one is in support of telecommuting, and it actually addresses two council files, and we would put the same statement in both council files. The one council file asks the chief legislative analyst to look at incentives the city might offer to encourage businesses to continue telecommuting after COVID ends, and to look at how the city can mitigate the effects of carbon emissions and enhance urban greening efforts. The other council file is more comprehensive, but it also asks the CLA, that's the chief legislative analyst, and relevant city departments to report back on the economic costs associated with ozone, carbon monoxide, and PM 2.5s, to look at telecommuting and or staggered work days for city employees, to analyze the costs of looking at the cost of both traditional offsite office spaces versus remote offsite office space and related costs, looking at ways to incentivize private companies to use telecommuting for a portion of their workforce, and to see if there are any federal funds that might be used for this purpose. So the proposed CIS comments on how telecommuting would benefit the environment and points out that if more San Pedrons telecommuted, they would actually spend more time in San Pedro, resulting in increased patronage of local businesses. This also came out of committee.
And Diana, this motion is just actually supporting that they study these issues, correct?
Right. Yes,
Okay.
they're both to study. Correct. Yeah, that's
Okay.
what the report back is.
Okay, sounds like we started the discussion. I see two hands, Gwen and Dan. Gwen, you're first.
I applaud Diane for taking this CIS up and putting it in so quickly. In relation to this, just for future, as this motion progresses, there is evidence. Back when the Olympics were in Los Angeles in 1984, there were staggered work days and telecommuting, and there was documented positive impacts on both life and on CO2 and other emissions. So I believe that this will end up being supported by other evidence.
Yeah, the council file 20-0584, you might want to look at, Gwen, because it actually has some the impact of COVID on the reductions right now.
Yes, yes.
So they've actually included it in the
Yeah, that's, you guys can, yeah, there's a lot of fascinating data on that.
Okay, thank you, Gwen. Dan, you're up.
I've always thought for many years that if we had a continuous Olympics and the Pope visiting town, we'd be in heaven. without having to actually go there. This is a question and a motion and a attention from the city that I wish to God had been attended to the first week of the pandemic rather than the 10th month.
Thank you.
It is too late to be having this conversation, but we need to have it. So I support it. But Diana, I want to just make 100% clear, we're supporting what the city council has asked its legal staff to look into. Is that correct?
It's legislative staff, not its legal staff.
Legislative.
Yeah.
I apologize. Legislative staff.
Yeah. this
Okay,
is-
so we're supporting where the city wants to look
Right.
to see if something like this will work. Thank you.
Correct. And this is a good example of what Lori was talking about earlier when she asked me about the council file from 2019. You know, these become 2, 3, 4-step processes. So once the CLA goes out and looks at it, then there'll be a report back to council. We may then want to comment again on that report. We'll have that opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't see any other hands from attendees or panelists, but to your point, Dan, I'd like to just say that getting us a little bit closer to heaven, I think that's the whole point of the tower at West Harbor. So, and with alcohol as a kicker. So just an observation.
I'll drink to that, Ray.
Okay. Discussion coming to an end. Cheryl, would you take the vote?
Certainly. Brock,
Abstain.
John Barbera,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Oh, no, no.
Adrianita,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
John DeMaglio,
Abstain.
Dan,
Reluctant, yes.
Cynthia, Cynthia,
Yes.
thank you. Gwen,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Alec,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
motion passes.
Great. Diana, next.
The next one is a council file that has to do with what are loosely termed high-value projects. That term has not yet been defined, even though that's being used here. And this is one that we are proposing that the council actually oppose. This particular motion came out of all of the corruption. And, you know, on first glance, it seemed like a good idea. The idea being that for high value projects, that they would skip the city's plum committee and come directly to the city council. Well, we're concerned about that. We're concerned about that because on the face of it, high value projects are those that have the biggest implications for the community. Therefore, they need to have the most vetting. And so skipping a step in the vetting process would be, you know, cutting out a lot of the voice of the community, number one. And number two, if you did it at council, then it would be taking a lot of time away from other business of the council. Number three, it was our feeling that, you know, you could corrupt the whole council as well as you could corrupt the plum committee. So it has always been the way that council has operated was they went along with whatever the council person from that district said. So we didn't see this as really being something that was going to have a good impact in the long run. So we suggest in our statement that a better approach to reducing corruption would be to extend the prohibitions on contributions by lobbyists to actually prohibit contributions from developers to council members. So that's the proposal. I've noticed that there's a huge council file now on corruption that has a whole lot of other things that we may want to look at in the future. Again, it came out of committee, unanimous support from the committee.
Okay, see two hands up. Melanie is up first and then Gwen. Melanie?
Yeah, I Diana just said pretty much what I was going to say at the end, that this is like a gateway for corruption for them. I mean, because usually the councilman they go right to them, and then it's in his area. So he's like, okay. And they listen to whatever he has to say, and the lobbyists. So by cutting out those guys and making it harder for them, then that's going to make that less likely.
Okay.
You know, I just noticed though that the last sentence that you have is actually an older version. I need to correct it for you, Cheryl. The last sentence should read, oh no, I don't have the right one. No.
Yeah, and I don't, hold on, I'm getting there. But if you.
Oh, wait a minute, just leave it. To ban all contributions to council members.
Extend prohibition on contributions by lobbyists to include contributions from developers, both individual and firms.
Yeah. Just leave it. I maybe, this may have been the correct one. I'm having a little,
Okay.
I'm not at home where I have my notes.
I understand.
But there may be a slight change in that last sentence. I'll have to get it to you if it is.
How much of a change?
Oh, it's a slight change.
How much of a change, Diana, would there be?
It might.
Well, while she's trying to figure it out, maybe
This is correct. I think this is correct. Just go ahead with this.
Okay. Well, there's two more people to speak on this, so you could check that while.
I can't. I'm not where I can check it. I'm in Santa Barbara. That's at home.
Okay. Okay to move on as far as comments.
When?
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, I just, with what Diana said, that there are other portions to this, this motion, and in association with corruption and vetting, and just trying to clean up any potential conflicts of interest and everything else. So I hope that all of us will review some of those items. Diana, will you be able to forward us the motion items that we should maybe pay attention to?
Oh, the other council files?
Yes.
Yeah, two of them you acted on last month. And then I saw there was a new one, and I can forward the new one. And I actually am not even sure what committee that one's going to go to. So we'll have to talk about that. This one was specific to the Planning and Land Use Committee. Plum.
Yes, and again, Diana. Oh, well, I'll bring it up in my report. Never mind.
Next, we have Dan.
Thank you. This is so interesting because it brings together several different yet highly connected issues. Money, anything we can do in our modest means here at the local level to disconnect the mother's milk of politicians from their pockets is a worthy goal. This is important in that respect. The other thing is, though, this is lurking at the fringes of the might of the state of California trying to come down on localities in terms of how they direct and envision and move ahead on their vision for their own communities. So it's really interesting that one thing eventually leads to another. But from the standpoint, if the main thrust here is to discourage contributions to lobbyists, that's only the tip of the iceberg, but at least it's the tip. So I support it.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands. Cheryl, can you take the vote, please?
Certainly. Rock,
Yes.
John Barbera,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Adrianita,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
John DeMeglio,
Abstain.
Dan,
Yes.
Cynthia,
Yes, for Cynthia.
Gwen,
Yes.
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Alec,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great.
Thank you. The last one was something Dan was saying in one sense. This, the state just keeps imposing more and more regulations on the city on the cities and local jurisdictions with regards to housing development. And one of the bills that passed last year, the year before, was something called Senate Bill 330. And before I go any farther, Lori, it mentions 2 council files, and here's one where the second council file is no longer active. So the 190400, you don't need to post to that one.
Okay.
We'll just post it to the first one.
Thank you.
So Senate Bill 330 is state legislation that was aimed at making development easier. But in order to get it passed, they made a few compromises to provide additional protection for tenants in rent-controlled units that were being demolished. So if it was in a rent-controlled unit that was going to be demolished, there were some additional protections, such as requiring that they had to have at least the same number of rent-controlled units in the new development, and a number of other things. So, but the city has not been implementing, even though it's the law, they've not been implementing it in accordance with the law. And so our motion supports a city council motion that requests the various city entities to report back on how the provisions will be implemented and enforced. So the particular concern has been the provisions related to how affordable units are calculated for the density bonus purposes. And so according to the law, you're supposed to calculate that after you've already taken into account the rent stabilized units. So it has to be additions to that. Well, the housing department hasn't been doing it that way. So they've been misapplying it, which results in a higher density bonus than is actually allowable. So we'll be taking that up when we see it. If it happens in our district, we'll take it up. That's it. Ready for questions, comments?
Ken?
Gwen?
Oh, sorry. I came from an area where something like this was put into effect. That would be Santa Monica. And I would very much urge us to continue to watch how this develops, as well as the follow through should this pass. And because with Ellis Act evictions, I've got to tell you that Santa Monica ended up with a nightmare. A lot of those rent control units, they were supposed to offer them back. And I've got to tell you honestly, it didn't work out the way it was intended. So this is something to really pay attention to very closely.
So what this does is to basically instruct the departments to report back on how it is that they're paying attention to it. That's exactly what the purpose of this is to say, how are we paying attention to this?
Yes, because it hasn't been followed through in the past, and there needs to be some serious improvements to this idea.
So Diane, I want to understand, we are supporting this, that is asking that they comply with what they're supposed to be doing in the first place?
Yes.
Okay.
This is a motion from City Council asking the departments to comply and to report back on how they're complying.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I don't see any hands up or any indication of questions. So we'll move on to the vote count. Cheryl?
Okay. Rob,
Abstain.
John Barbera,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Anita,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
John Maglio,
Abstain?
Voted yes on it.
I'm sorry.
Dan Dixon,
Abstain.
Cynthia,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Alec,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Motion pass.
Diana, I just want to confirm that these 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 the CISs that were passed, aren't sending letters in addition to that. We're just filing the community impact statements, correct?
Correct.
Okay, Melanie, I'll get together with you tomorrow. We'll figure out who's filing which.
So the only other thing I have is that our next joint planning committee meeting is this Wednesday. And there's 3 main items on the agenda. The first one is a discussion of the Gaffey Street bulb outs. This is going south on Gaffey from Summerland. It's actually in central and maybe a little bit of coastal. But there will, while they're building them, there may be some impacts on Gaffey, so we'll find out at the meeting. The second thing is the Caltrans Triangle, that area we were talking about a little earlier, that's at the end of the Harbor Freeway there. And so there's an update on what's going on there. And the third thing is where the port is going to come and talk about the development projects that they have beyond the West Harbor project, because we've already talked about West Harbor, but there's a number of other things that are kind of in their works. So we've asked them to update us, like what's happening at the marina, what's happening with the Outer Harbor Cruise Terminal, what's happening with North Gaffey. So they have a number of other things they'll be talking about. So that's this Wednesday. And then the next Northwest meeting is on January 22nd, and 7/11 will be on again, not for any of the issues we've discussed before, because we've already voted on them, but there were a couple of issues that we raised in our letter to them that we asked them to report back on. The main one had to do with having their traffic engineer analyze the various suggested routes of travel for the tanker delivery trucks. So we will be looking at that on our meeting on the 22nd.
Good.
Okay.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Diana. We will now move to community issues. Dan?
Thank you. I don't know if my face, my handsome face is showing up or not. I suspect my emoji is better looking than I am, so we'll leave it at that. This will be very brief. We had an interesting meeting. You've heard the update on the status of the skate park, which is one of the most encouraging local community developments within the community that I've heard in some time. That was great. I appreciate John Barbera's efforts on our behalf, and Axel gave an excellent positive report. That was terrific. The committee is looking at, with the help of Pat Nave and others, the issue of the ongoing and continuing issue of train noise around the harbor, both primarily on the Harbor Beltway line that serves the tanks at Westmont, but also train traffic around the port as well. It's a lengthy, it requires quite a bit of discussion, and requires finding money that probably doesn't exist. But if it does exist, it will be through the port, and we will be continuing to encourage that great institution to look at it with us, as train noise is an annoying and ongoing issue for local residents. We have touched briefly at this meeting tonight on the reallocation of police funding. That will be a huge issue ongoing, and we're keeping an eye on it, but we're not in a position to take any direct action on it at this point. We didn't think. I want to give a shout out, I guess, to Pete Burmeister, who was our public comment in our public comment section, decried the location of the skate park. Okay, we listened. The let's see, there was one other thing. Oh, the only update on the Gaffey Street Defense Fuel Supply Point is an email I had from Seal Beach this morning from the public information officer. It's basically status quo continuing. Greg Smith said, I had hoped to hear something last week, but the project lead, the lead person on the project, was still out on leave. I'm hearing that things are finally beginning to move, albeit very slowly, but so far I don't have any details. Expecting to hear more this week, and I'll let you know as soon as I do. So I'll keep after him on that. I'm not sure we're going to like any answer that we hear, but we do want to be among the first to get the answers. That's essentially all I have. I want to take a point of personal privilege, if I may. And I've talked to Diana about this a little bit and Doug Epperhart. But in addition to all the other news going on last week and this week, on the 7th of this month, we lost a couple of important people in this city and in this town. Tommy Lasorda, of course, well known to all of us, and as Mr. LA, and a gentleman who might have been another Mr. LA in his own mind and maybe in other people's minds, the late city councilman Tom Labange. Tom Labange was a huge champion of this city, and the fact that I think when he left office he emptied most of the file drawers. I don't know about that, but he had a long career with the city, and he loved this town, and he helped to keep us on the map in some ways. But in thinking about those two fine gentlemen passing away on the same day, I got a little curious, because I have known one person that I believe personally knew. Now, I don't know that this is true, but I know one person who personally knew both Tommy Lasorda and Tom Labange, and that is our late, wonderful friend and board member, John Greenwood. And I just want to make a brief note that this past Saturday would have been John Greenwood's 75th birthday. John Greenwood was, to us, in our council here, perhaps second only to who's Mr. San Pedro? Who's the man of the century? I'm sorry, I'm blanking. John Olguin, thank you. Perhaps second only to John Olguin. John Greenwood is Mr. San Pedro to some of us on this board who worked with him for many years. We respect everything he did for us. He was a fine citizen, an involved, engaged person through his entire adult life. We admired him and enjoyed his friendship. And I just wanted to make note of that as we move into the new year here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Public safety, Melanie?
We didn't have a meeting because I was sick, but I do have some public information for public safety. I want to do an update about Phillips 66. Okay. Anybody that hasn't read any of the Facebook posts or anything, there was a major mechanical failure last night at 5:30 at Phillips 66. I talked to them and it was a compressor failure. I made some calls as soon as I saw some of the posts and the texts and phone calls that I got, and was updated. It was a compressor failure, and they kept me very informed, calling me back and forth, letting me know where they were at and that they were fixing it rather rapidly. And then they called me back and let me know that AQMD came out, they surveyed everything and gave the all clear. And it was back operational and the flare stopped as soon as it was fixed. So.
Thank you, Melanie, for checking up on that, keeping
Okay.
us informed. Appreciate that.
I just want to thank Melanie for jumping right on that, doing the due diligence, building the relationship that we have with Ken Dami over at Phillips 66. It's unfortunate that people still use social media to cause havoc and scare people without having the facts. So it's appreciated that Melanie takes the time to get the facts and to share the information to the community. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on. Just want to take a time check. It's 8:38, so we're getting close to our hopeful cutoff time. So anyway, with that said, Sustainability Committee. Gwen?
Okay, everybody. So our next meeting is going to be next Thursday, the 21st. Some of the things I do have to follow up on our Rancho LPG resolution and letter, and in regards to that, some of the things that will be coming up in the next meeting are some council files that we did not vote on in November, and then in December we went dark. So it's some, somewhat dry material, but sustainability wise, it's something that we should voice into, and that's divesting the city pensions, all of the pensions of city employees. There are a lot of investments that are made to keep that viable, and the city is currently looking at divesting off of fossil fuel industry investments in relation to that. So there's some council files regarding that when we voting on. I wanted to mention something. The NCSA, I've been going to the meetings regularly. They have them once a month, and that would be the second Sunday of every month. And I would invite planning and land use individuals to join in on this meeting. There's a lot of, with the Green New Deal and with a lot of the plans for the future of Los Angeles, a lot of it is truly everything from streets to the buildings that we're going to be living in, the businesses. And there's a tremendous amount of input that the NCSA is putting into from the point of us as the residents and business owners and the stakeholders. They're putting in a lot of input. And there are a lot of planning and land use people who are involved. There's a lot of breakout groups that the city has with the NCSA, and it's not possible for me to voice out on everything that there is. So I greatly seek out and think that all of you should consider involving yourself. This is the high end stuff. It's everything from Caltrans and Metro projects. It's everything. So anyway, the last meeting was focusing on the trees within the entire city of Los Angeles. And one thing that I just wanted to say about this particular meeting is that over the years, Los Angeles has had quite an inventory of trees. And it's, as the years have gone by and buildings have gone up and a lot of high rises, those trees have been torn down, chopped down and cleared out. They're supposed to be replaced. This is not the case, but with the future of Los Angeles, there's already a lot of things that are on the table, and people have noticed that the trees are not being replaced properly, and there's a lot of things that are removing huge trees. And what you should know is that a 70-year-old tree, if you have on the books that you're supposed to replace it with a new tree once you've ripped it out, a 70-year-old tree has a canopy that actually could literally reduce the temperature of the area around it and underneath it up to 10 degrees. That's an incredible amount of cooling power that an old established tree has. Little trees don't do that. And there are concerns because those trees, when they get planted, they aren't cared for properly, and then they die. And
Gwen, excuse
Okay.
me, is this something that's part of your sustainability report from your committee or going to be discussed?
It was an NCS. Okay, you're right. It's NCSA. I should have done an NCSA report as well, but that's it. There will be some items coming from that, and that's it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Christensen Science Center Ad Hoc Committee, any updates? Chris, John?
Vic has his hand up.
I see that.
Yeah, I think Victor might be better suited to answer that. I think he's been in pretty steady contact with the local administration.
Okay, Victor, would you like to make a comment?
Sure. A few things have been going on. I go down there at least once a week, and the Christmas weekend, I went down, I believe, on Sunday or possibly Saturday, and there was one water faucet left on with water streaming out, running down the curb or down the sidewalk, down toward the pond. Don't know what happened for sure because there was really no logical reason for that one to be left on. So I don't know if it was somebody negligent who forgot to turn it off, even though there was no hose around. Whether maybe somebody maliciously hopped the fence from, Johnston or something like that and turned it on for some unknown reason, or because of the way that the gate valve has one of those levers, not using a water key, and it goes down to open up the flow. So it's possible that even, this may be a stretch, but possible that even an animal may have been playing around and pushed it down enough to turn it on. So I let the powers that be know, suggested a way to keep that from happening, which is turn off all the faucets that need the water key. So even if the gate valve gets flipped open, no water will come out. So we'll see what happens. The desert area over on the, let's see, southwest corner, I believe that is, where the cacti are, is not doing so well. And Peter Roth of Feed and Be Fed and I both agree that it's probably due to the canopy of the tree that's right there next to it, that is completely covering it. So I suggested to LAUSD to prune that back to let some direct sunlight get in there and bring the cacti back to what they're supposed to be like and what they were before, before the tree got so large and the branches, overhung the cacti. One of the reasons that we were given, third topic, one of the reasons we were given for the mural being replaced and taken down is because there was damage to the mural and peeling and it couldn't be fixed and things like that. And I pointed out when they showed the pictures that it looked more like there were cracks in the wall of the building more than the mural, and if anything, that could have been causing the peeling of the mural. And so they took it down, they repainted, they claim that all of the renovations are done. But I just noticed this past weekend that there are still vertical cracks at regular intervals, which I'm guessing has to do with where the studs are. And that hasn't been fixed. So I'm not sure what they're claiming was fixed, but those cracks are still there almost from floor to ceiling on the outside. So I let them know about that too. I haven't heard anything back yet, but it's only been a few days. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but it doesn't look like the repairs have been fixed to me. Last thing, Feed and Be Fed has, and I'm not sure if the right word is hired, because I'm not sure if she's volunteering her time or getting paid for it, but they have hired a permaculturist, which is, and for those who don't know, permaculture, it's basically a combination of agriculture, water harvesting, hydrology, energy, natural building, forestry, waste management, animal systems, aquaculture, appropriate technology, economics, and community development. So there's a lot of different things involved. The permaculturist is trying to find out the history of the Science Center before it became a Science Center, when the Navy still had the property. And because she in particular wants to know what may have gone into the soil, what may need to be remediated, any contamination that's there or was there, might still be there, and that sort of thing. I know a lot of history once the LAUSD got hold of it, although not everything, because I was too young at that time. But I don't know anything about what the Navy was actually doing on that property before they transferred it to the LAUSD. So I've been in contact with some of you to try to get some of that information, but if anybody, listening has any ideas of who to contact, or possibly might know themselves what the Navy was doing there, I'd appreciate, your contacting me and letting me know. Just really quickly, and I can put it in the chat too, my email address is kristensen.sciencecenter@gmail.com. And I'll put that in the chat too. And, I don't know if somebody will post it somewhere else, but I'm looking for whatever information I can find on what the Navy did there before LAUSD got the property. That is all.
Thank you, Victor. I see a hand. John DeMeglio, you're up.
Yeah, I just want to, before this COVID came around, everything was on, not a speedy track, but it was on a good track, and they were starting to have good programs there. And they were getting a good program going. And I think, and I'm hoping that continues after this is under control. And I really just want to say that LA Unified has worked great with this committee, and they really wanted something to happen there. And I think hopefully it's still going to happen. So I'm really hoping that it'll still happen. So they had a lot of good ideas. It all was all starting to come together, and the main thing that the kids were starting to benefit from it, and hopefully that's going to continue as soon as we can get this COVID under control. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, John. Okay, I think that takes care of the last committee. Item 11, we have the various liaisons. I would expect that probably we may not have too much to report except our homelessness liaison. I saw your hand. I knew what I was going to say before I saw your hand, Lori. So, Lori, would you like to
Yes,
report?
I would. I thank you. So things are not great with COVID. For quite a while, they've been very successful in stopping COVID from running rampant in the encampments and with the people experiencing homelessness, but it's catching up. And the numbers, they don't even have numbers on them, but people are coming down with COVID. CD15, I know they did a presentation before. They're moving along pretty well on getting safe parking at the parking lot kitty corner to the municipal building. The interim housing right next door to that, due to COVID, they've had to reduce their beds from 40 to 32 to meet COVID protocols. And the bridge home has had reduced from 100 to 75 again to address protocol. They're working not in San Pedro, but within CD15 on another safe parking location at Harbor College across the way. And 75% of that, I believe, will be, or I can't remember exactly how many, will be for transitional age youth and college students. And that one will probably be open to RVs also. So that will help. And they're also working on another location to put 75 of these pallet shelter homes. And keep in mind that the word shelter means just that. We're getting somebody, you know, it's not housing. It's not interim housing. It's just getting them in a safe place where they have heating, air conditioning, electricity, bathrooms, showers, things like that, until we can get them into housing, which is slow going. But I will say that I'm so impressed with the work that the city, the county, the service providers are doing on a daily basis to get as many people housed as possible. They're also putting programs in to combat and prevent homelessness with so many people out of work. And the moratoriums, they keep extending them month by month on evictions, but eventually people are going to have to come up with that rental money. And so they're trying to find programs to help people out with that because we're concerned. And another large growing population of homeless is seniors, people like me, people 60 and over. It's one of the fastest growing demographics of people becoming homeless. It's a really sad state of our times right now. The 2021 homeless count that would normally be at the end of this month is not happening due to COVID and safety concerns. They will only do a count of shelters and information from the service providers. So let's just keep hoping that we can continue to push for solutions one step at a time. That's about it. If anybody has any questions on that, on anything related to homelessness, they can certainly email me. Thank you.
All right, I see one hand up. Just so that we're conscious of the time, it's now 8:55. I was hoping to get the meeting taken care of by 8:45. So Gwen, you have probably the last word here, so make it brief.
Lori, the homeless count, that's terrible that it's not happening. Do they have any data that they've been able to compile on the impacts of COVID on our population?
They do not.
Wow.
I was at a meeting today. They do not have. So if you have any other questions, you know, HUD has authorized all the major cities waiving the homeless count due to safety. Okay.
And the only other thing, I'm wondering if perhaps we can consider having regularly at our board meeting a review of some of the services that people can reach out to. For example, I saw that there's going to be another rent application process coming up. I'm wondering if we can add that somewhere.
All of these programs are in our weekly e-newsletters that Christina and I put together. All that information's there. Most of it is also on our website. We do outreach. So, but if you have any other questions, why don't you check with me offline. Ray, I just wanted to ask a quick question to squeeze in here. We got an email from Raquel Beltran that was supposed to go to all board members today, saying that there's an opportunity to provide comments on the ethics policy. If anybody did not get that email, that means you're not receiving emails from Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. So contact me and I will do what I can to make sure that you are in that distribution.
Thank you. So unless I see someone's hand or hand go up for the other liaisons, I'm going to move us along the agenda. Item 12 is any comments on non-agenda items by board members. I don't see any hand. Oh, I do see a hand. Gwen, please,
I know.
Please quit. Please, it's really starting to get late. So
The only thing I wanted to say was the website address for the Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance. That's ncsa.la. And I urge you to go on there. They have some recorded meetings. You should see the two.
Email our board members with this information. Email them.
This is for other people as well. There's a lot there.
okay, we can put it on our website also. Thank you, Gwen. John Barbera.
Yeah, real quick, just let everybody know, the Assistance League shut down this month because of a person had COVID. So the post office and the gift shop will be closed. They're looking to resume back until February 1st, if it's okay and they pass everything. If not, it's going to be shut down till the end of February.
John, they actually announced today that they're opening like next week. So double check with them.
Are they really? Okay, I'll
Yeah.
know. I'm in the meeting tomorrow. I have a meeting with, that we have our monthly, and so I'll find out tomorrow.
I believe it was just the post office though.
Okay. Announcements, anyone?
8:59, time to adjourn.
Yeah. Okay, our next meeting is February 8th.
Hey, my birthday.
Okay, I don't know what you just said, but thank you very much, everyone, for attending. Happy New Year to you all, and let's make this a better year than we should. All right, guys.
Thanks, Ray.
Take
Be
care.
safe. Be safe.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Bye-bye now.
Here.
And I'm stopping the recording.